Hello friend, I want to tell you about the Renault Vel Satis car. People who like compact cars and those that are easy to drive should immediately look for something else. The long hood, high mass and soft tuning are something for those who appreciate, for example, American motoring, especially since there may be a V6 under the hood. When it comes to the Vel Satis suspension design, we have classic McPherson struts at the front. At the rear, there is a system with 3 powerful wishbones per wheel, where one also acts as a support for the spring mounted separately from the shock absorber. The steering system is hydraulically assisted. Quote, in 2005, a facelift took place, which slightly changed the car's appearance, but more happened inside. There was a new instrument panel and a multimedia system operated by a joystick, known from later Renault models. Interestingly, a car from that period already had, among other things, an electric parking brake and voice control. Quote, what engines were installed in the Renault Vel Satis I? Which engine to choose? The best and safest choice is definitely petrol engines. Both are durable and not very problematic. Of course, they are fuel hungry, but they work great on LPG. People who value a nice sound and good performance have only one choice: Nissan's 3.5 volts 6. The engine, of course, consumes a lot of fuel, on average about 1,100 kilometers, but it rewards you with the best dynamics. However, the French 2.0T is also quite good, and these versions certainly cannot be called sluggish. In addition, they respond well to chip tuning. Users believe that they are better suited to LPG than the V6, although fuel consumption of 10 L100 kilometers can be considered bearable. Also susceptible to power increase is the 2.0 DCI diesel, which is the only diesel engine worth considering. It burns significantly less than the 2.0T, about 8 Ls100 kilometers, and the 173 horsepower version matches the performance of the petrol. On the other side, we have the 3.0 DCI engine, which can currently be considered the most risky and basically pointless. It is a diesel, but it burns a lot, about 9,100 kilometers. And on top of that, it is a V6. So work on it is time-consuming and expensive. A rather durable 2.2 DCI variant is rather not recommended. It is hard to find arguments for this engine because its performance is inferior to the newer 2.0 unit. The availability of parts is worse, and the performance is rather below expectations. So what to choose? I think only petrols. The golden mean between performance and costs is the 2.0T. On gas, you will still drive it cheaper than diesels, and the risk of serious failures is lower. The E6 is good, it gives excellent performance for this classic car, but there are potentially higher repair costs. Common faults and opinions about Renault Vel Satis. Although the car is somewhat related to the Laguna 2, it is not overly troublesome to use. Faults happen, as in any 20-year-old or slightly younger model. Many things simply get old. The higher the mileage, the higher the risk of failure of mechanisms that do not normally break down. For example, a typical problem of the Vel Satis is sagging front windows. Typically for French cars, the electrics break down. Usually, however, these are trifles that you can live with and drive. Finding a car whose computer does not display errors is difficult. More troublesome are sensor failures on the engines. Other stakes. The rear suspension is durable, while the front is cheap to repair, as is the case in Laguna. The braking system incurs higher costs. The biggest expenses await users under the hood. Even good and praised 2.0 DCI diesels may already require a major service. 2.2 DCI engines have different opinions. If well maintained, they are very durable. If not, they only bring disappointment. Choosing a 3.0 DCI diesel with low mileage is a disaster. It is better to choose a car with an engine after repairs, although this is also a big risk. Safe petrol engines do not disappoint if you are aware that Vel Satis is not for racing, that it is a higher class car, and V6 must cost. Nissan's 3.5-liter unit has 2 sensitive areas. The first is the cooling system. It can heat up, and repairing 2 heads is already a big expense. The second is the timing chain. Very durable, but when it needs to be replaced, it is necessary to remove the engine. The second thing that can cost thousands is automatic transmissions. More than half of cars are equipped with them. On the one hand, it's good because it's more convenient and you don't have to replace the clutch and dual-mass flywheel. On the other hand, their durability is very much dependent on how they're used. Drivers with a heavy foot can quickly pay for repairs. Those with a gentle driving style will travel 300,000 kilometers and more without the slightest problem. The most sensitive are automatics in combination with V6 engines. The most important recommendations for using the Vel Satis are not to skimp on spare parts, which are not excessively expensive, and to keep an eye on oil changes and temperatures while driving. If you have the V6 version, it is worth having the service thoroughly inspect the cooling system and check its efficiency from time to time. This is crucial for durability. When buying a car, it is worth considering not the mileage but the year. Cars after 2005 are better made and less prone to failures. Is it worth buying Renault Vel Satis I? The arguments for yes are the absurdly low prices for such a large car, with such equipment and such engines. The arguments against them are the high costs of servicing and repairs relative to the purchase price, the huge problems with resale, and the originality of the car. Even if it is beautifully maintained, fully functional, and you love it, it will have no value at resale or even in the settlement of a claim by the insurer. Thanks for listening to me. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and rate my video. If you know of any problems with this car that I haven't mentioned, be sure to write about them in the comments.